I haven't watched this, so this is completely fresh. I haven't listened to a single word in this video. So you guys are going into this just as blind as me. So we're going to be this is going to be about Isaac Butterfield. Isaac Butterboy, all right? I have no clue who this guy is. Apparently he has 1 million subscribers. I don't think I've ever heard of him. Apparently he makes political content. I'm guessing he is verified. So, I mean, he's been making content for at least 1 minute. And he released a new banger, a new video, and it's called The Problem with Modern Masculinity. Looking at a guy like this, and looking at his other video that says The Problem with Modern Femininity, which that may even be more fun to watch, but we're going to go with this one right now. I feel like there's going to be some spicy memes in here that we may enjoy, right? He's got his bottles of tiny whiskey, a meme beer, a UFC fighter that he enjoys. I don't know, some more alcohol, a pickled Rick. Man, he's really got everything going on here. He's really got it all coming together. So let's see. Let's take a dive into the wonderful world of Isaac Butterfield. Look at my alcohol and my beard. I'm a real man. Yeah, that's true. He looks like an actor for like a Sasquatch product, like Sasquatch ass wipes. He's like, I wipe my ass like a real man, like something like that, you know? Let's hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, by now I'm sure you've heard all
Oh no. Oh no. He's the accent. Okay.
about toxic masculinity. The idea that being a man or being masculine is inherently bad or toxic.
This is okay. Is that a Joe Rogan prayer candle? Wait, where? Wait, I have to. Wait, where is this Joe Rogan prayer candle? Oh, that one down there? Yeah, that might be. It's part of his shrine to Joe Rogan. Okay, so 1 second. All right. What is this? Me dick stanks. Me dick stinks. Is this like a meme? Or is this like an inside joke within his community? Like my dick stinks? Is this Did he say this to like his significant other? I don't know. Okay, so listen, step 1. Critical misunderstanding. Massive amounts of misunderstanding going on here, okay? Let's take this one step at a time because we have to figure this out. What is toxic masculinity? Toxic masculinity is the unsavory and harmful aspects to masculinity. That's it. Toxic masculinity is just acknowledging that masculinity, traditional masculinity specifically, has problems, which it does. Lots of guys experiencing problems today, crisis of identity. That a lot of it comes from toxic masculinity. This is very true. And it's embedded in women too. Lots of women can uphold toxic masculinity. This all happens. This isn't crazy. It's not saying that being masculine and masculinity is inherently bad. There's nothing. Being masculine and masculinity is inherently neutral, just like femininity. Femininity isn't like, oh, you know, butterflies and rainbows, you know, as much as I guess people want to believe it is. As a little bit of unicorns in there, but not rainbows. Not all rainbows. Both of these things have problems, right? We can get into it, but I'd like to hear this guy talk first.
Children are being taught that in no uncertain terms that being a male, being a boy, is some type of evil gender.
Who? Where? Can I get like receipts on this? Other than like tweets that you've read that hurt your feelings? Like where? Like school? Where? I mean, I went to school. I went to lots of schools in my day. A couple public schools in my day, and never in my life have I gotten the "you are a man and you are bad" lesson from gender studies or whatever, or like sex ed. I never got that. I didn't take gender studies when I was in college, but I didn't get the "you are bad because you are a man" in school. So I don't know what school this guy went to. That's true. Kat does hate all men. It's very true. She hates all men. That she married one so she can keep track of him.
And that is hurting people. That is hurting young men. And this is what this particular video is all about.
Actually, what's hurting young men is toxic masculinity. That's one of the big reasons. You know, the idea that that you have to be the breadwinner. You know, the idea that if you aren't like super successful, that you're a loser. Like the whole incel movement, specifically, the whole incel movement specifically is like birthed from toxic masculinity, right? Like the idea that you don't have like a chiseled jaw and like a bunch of money, and like the idea that your worth as a man is how many women you can keep around, you know, all of that, right? That's all toxic masculinity there. Bit of capitalism as well, but also toxic masculinity is a big problem. I don't think modern masculinity has hurt like many men like at all. Lots of women actually are starting to really like modern masculinity, but you know, that's a whole nother thing.
Believe it or not, men are 5 times more likely to die of suicide than women.
Yes. I love this. This is very true. I love him bringing I don't love the suicide. I love him bringing it up. This is incredibly true. Men are more likely to commit suicide, right? And they're more likely to use guns when they're committing suicide, which means the suicide attempt is usually a lot more successful. What is this, right? Why does this happen? This happens for a lot of reasons. Crisis of identity, feeling like you can't go to anyone, have anyone to turn to. Lots of men have absolutely no friend, have like very few friends, and lots of guys have almost literally no friends, or literally no friends. Either just like friends that are around, that you talk to, that you have your number, that you text, or friends that you can share like intimate personal feelings with. And even that comes from toxic masculinity, where you feel like you can't share your sort of like intimate personal feelings, or else you're like a bitch, right? Suck it up and walk it off, you know? Lots of guys can't walk it off, as you can see from this map here that shows the rate of suicide for men. Lots of guys can't walk it off. People aren't meant to walk it off. It just doesn't happen like that. We're social creatures. We need it. And the alienation that comes from the idea of masculinity and being like a dude who needs no one else to rely on, especially emotionally, and so you tough everything out like by yourself until you break and then you kill yourself. That on top of the atomization of society that comes from capitalism, I mean, yeah, these numbers, while terrible and drastic, are not surprising.
Modern era, women are much more educated than men. More men are homeless, more men are in prison, more men are the victims of violent crime. Fathers are less likely.
Yeah. Well, violent crime specifically, but certain violent crime against women. Here specifically, sexual assault. You know, females are 4 times as likely to be assaulted sexually than men. Rates of murder for both men and women have stayed relatively the same for the past 6 years, around 1.2 deaths per 100,000 and 0.7. I believe this mostly comes from gang violence and other violence between other men, things like war. But all of that is also toxic masculinity, thinking that only men should be going to war. That's toxic masculinity there. Seeing men as disposable, that's toxic masculinity there. Males make up 58% of the homeless, and females 42%. Males outnumber females in every category, but particularly rough sleepers. Wait, rough sleepers? Oh, my bad. I thought that means you have like insomnia or something. Oh, you don't know where to sleep. And boarding residents 73%, close to even 51. It was close to even 51 to 49 supported in support accommodation for homeless. In supported accommodation for homeless. Okay. So men have slightly more access to accommodation than women, but make up like 66% of the people who don't have their own place to sleep. I'm not sure what that is. We can look into that information. Sex difference was mainly among older population, despite elderly population in general being skewed towards females. The older homeless population was very male dominated. The highest rate of homelessness was 19 to 24%. See, one thing that this could be, because one thing that I'm thinking, right, is that women aren't necessarily seen as people who should be like the breadwinner specifically, right? Let's think of that. Because this can tie into. Also, I just noticed we're 42 seconds into this video. I feel like this is going to be a long video. But he may like front load all the stupid information that he's going to be throwing out, right? So it's much more easy for a woman to kind of like get a little bit more on her feet and then get picked up by a dude who's going to just be working, right? It's far less likely. Women are far less attracted to men who aren't working, right? And that's also toxic masculinity, thinking that the guy should always be the one who makes more, or the one who either makes more is the one making anything. That can be a real big problem. That's carried on. And a lot of guys, they stop trying because they feel like they're already losers and they haven't come to fulfill their idea that what masculinity should be, or the man that they should be. So then they fall into depression. And then they can't talk about that depression because toxic masculinity says that you should be able to just walk off your problems, and then they can't walk off their problems, and then they kill themselves or stay homeless and just give up. So this is also a problem as well. Nothing that you've named here is a problem with modern masculinity.
More men are in prison. More men are the victims of violent crime.
Men are also the ones, vastly proportionally, the ones committing violent crime against other men as well. But that, I mean, why is like another question.
Others are less likely to get custody of their children over mothers.
This is a problem, but this is also toxic masculinity. Like this, everything that he names here is a problem with the idea of traditional masculinity, right? Why are men less likely to get custody of their kids? Well, maybe it's because women are seen as better caretakers, because men are seen as not being able to take care of kids because that's not a man's job. That's masculinity. What are you talking about?
And the list goes on. Now, I recently made a video just a couple of weeks ago about the problems with modern femininity, and it is only fair that I follow suit and do it all about the other gender. So, ladies and gentlemen, here are the problems with modern masculinity. But first, this video is brought to you by Surfshark.
This guy's a little loud. We're
Safety
not
and
watching
security
his
are two
ad.
very important parts of team, so you know that you're in good hands. The link is in the description below. Go and check it out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, back to the big problems that we face with modern masculinity. Problem number one: modern men are weak. The regression of masculinity.
Wait, what does that mean? I guess we got to hear him out. But modern men are weak. Okay.
Masculinity has only intensified over the past few years, and it is with fear, vitriol, and anger aimed towards men. It's no wonder that they are regressing, particularly when it comes to universities and college campuses worldwide. Young men with malleable minds being told by lecturers that being a man is a bad thing.
What is this?
That they should be ashamed.
Wait, let me read
by
that.
Lecturers that being a man.
Being a man is quite scary. Readers tell us what is hard about being a male in 2018. What? What was his ad for? It was for Surfshark VPN. It was for Surf. It was the classic like YouTubers like VPN that they all peddle. International. So this is an article put out in 2018 for International Men's Day, where guys talk about their experiences and hardships about being guys. International Men's Day. I find it hard to express my feelings and it makes me sound weak. What is? You think this proves your point? Isaac Butterball? You think this proves your point? Like, honestly, you think, how is this being told by any? This is them telling other people how they feel. Okay. This is not a lecture. I thought it's really funny how they whip out like they're being told in universities and lecturers that being a man is bad. Here's this article of men telling us why being a man is hard. Okay.
Is a bad thing. That they should be ashamed.
That does not support. It's so easy being a conservative, dude. You can just throw out random shit and then you're like dumbass audience and just believe it. Can you even possibly imagine? I could do this. It's so easy. Getting 1 million viewers just by lying to people and pretending you're right. Man. Like you can just be debunked by the articles that you put forward and it doesn't even matter.
Of what they cannot control. They are to blame for the things that have happened to women in the past, and only they can stop it. Not men as a whole, that individual male. They're being indoctrinated into the belief that they are a part of an evil cabal known as the patriarchy. Of course, all of that is fucking ridiculous, but if you beat a dog to its knees,
wait, I have to.
They can stop it. Not men as a thing.
I have to hear this again because this is so LARPy. Yeah, I haven't heard this take in a long time. This is so LARPy to make yourself like this, like uber victim. Okay, men are victims of toxic masculinity. This is true. It is bad, so we should fix it. But he doesn't want to.
That they should be ashamed of what they cannot control.
What? Like what? Give me an example. I want examples. Anything. Tell me literally anything. Just don't rattle off like meaningless platitudes. Please give me anything to go off.
They are to blame for the things that have happened to women in the past.
Where? When What are you telling me that a woman has been sexually assaulted in like 1985, and then some like radical feminist like comes down from the freaking like FBI feminist chopper and like kicks the freaking like coffee out of his hand while he's walking to work. He's like, "You're responsible for this. What say you in your defense?" And he's like, he's like, "Ah, yes, I see nothing. You patriotic monster. My bad. Patriarchy monster. Look what you've done." And then she shows like a picture of a girl like in like a freaking the interrogation room at the police in like a robe because her clothes got ripped off of her. He's like, "That you did this." And he's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't know what I did." He's like, "I know you didn't because you don't care." Like, that doesn't happen. This just doesn't happen. But okay.
And only they can stop it.
Stop what? I mean, I would like men to stand up and help stop toxic masculinity. That would be sick, yeah.
Not men as a whole, that individual male.
Well, I mean, it starts in one person, right?
They're being indoctrinated into the belief that they are a part of an evil cabal known as the patriarchy.
Where? We're 3 minutes into this video. I think like half of it being an ad, and now he's still yet to provide one single instance of this happening.
That is fucking ridiculous, but if you beat a dog to its knees for its entire life, it will never stand up. And that's what's happening here. Now, when I say they're becoming weak, I don't mean that being an emotional person or being in touch with one's feelings or even being feminine is akin to being weak. In fact, me, the old Butterfield here, you know what I get up to when I'm not screaming at a camera like a
He likes to get pegged by his girlfriend.
fucking idiot? I rescue greyhounds. I enjoy my time with my partner. We look after our families. We do all these beautiful things together. And you know what? That may be seen as feminine. And that's fine. Sometimes when I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner and my greyhound Rosie, pictured right here, look at that little darling, she comes in and she demands dinner because it's 6:01 and she gets dinner at 6 o'clock, and if she doesn't get it on time,
can we skip this?
Because she's quite grow a clitoris and still be more of a man than half of the fucking incels out there. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay.
Hating on incels. Okay. I love it. We love the incel hate here. Incredible. Yes. Let's shit on the most disadvantaged, broken human beings in our society, because that's really what's gonna make them better.
Okay to be in touch with your feminine side, gentlemen. It's not being weak. You can talk about your feelings. You can talk about your issues. That's not being weak at all. Being weak is something far more horrible. Women do not like weak men, and those who do are hairy armpitted fools that don't want to.
What's a weak man? Has he like described a weak man yet? Has he even given a description of a weak man? He's just saying that he just said what's not weak, and then he said other people are weak. Wait, have I missed it?
We fucking dance, all right? I am 6'8" with a
Stop.
On time. She carries on like a pork chop. Fine. Sometimes when I'm in the kitchen with my partner, we look after our families. We do all this. You know what I get up to when I'm not screaming?
Okay, quit.
And that's what's happening here. Part of an evil cabal.
So he didn't describe what a weak man is. He's like, a weak man is a man who's been indoctrinated by the radical feminists and college professors who tell them being man bad. We're not going to describe how that person thinks or what they believe or examples of this happening. We're not going to do any of this. I'm just going to ramble on for a minute and a half about how I dance with my pet greyhound and give her and shove pork chop down her throat and say that that's cool, and then call incels weak and then just move on. Is that it? Okay.
Incels out there. It's okay to be feminine than half of the fucking incels out there. It's okay to be feminine. It's okay to be in touch with your feminine side, gentlemen. It's not being weak. You can talk about your feelings. You can talk about men. And those who do are hairy armpitted fools that don't want to be with a man.
What's a weak man? I still have no clue what a weak man is.
A man. Being a strong, masculine human being doesn't mean you're a horrible piece of shit and mean and rude and you yell and you try and staunch people. No. It means...
I mean, it can, but not necessarily.
It means you're stoic. It means you face adversity head on. It means you look after the ones around you. It means you're a good motherfucker. It means... And this is how I sort of thought about it when I was writing this video.
It's stoic. You're like a superhero. You just like get all adversity, all just falls off your shoulders, like water off of a duck's back. Listen, this is what we were talking about. Okay, not every guy can do this. I don't think any like real human being can. Like unironically, without coping in some like really hard way. You can't just like stand up to everything and then take it on the chin and pretend like it's not going to affect you. It's going to catch up with you. It may not be today. It may not be the next day. It may not be the day after that. And the thing that I really, when I came to grips with that, and this is going to be a little bit more personal, but we're talking about masculinity, so we might as well, right? I've never been like a big crier, right? I never cried that much in my life. I still don't really. Well, especially when I got older, like 15, 16. After that, I didn't cry much, right? I always like looked up to my dad. My dad's a really cool guy, really mad buff when he was younger, super buff. Took care of us, took great care of us. Did leader. He was, head of the household. We had a classic sort of like family with me and my siblings and everything. I always looked up to him. He's an amazing guy. Cares about a lot of people. One thing that I really like about him is compassion. Very compassionate person, right? And I've never been much of a crier. And I feel like the ideas of sort of being able to take, I confused his willingness to stand up to things as him just being able to like soak up everything and then pretend it doesn't affect you, right? There comes a point where the sponge soaks up as much water as it possibly can, and then it just starts to leak, right? And that kind of happened to me throughout my life. I was just soaking up things. Family members passed away. We went through hardship in the family. Lots of stress, a lot of stress happened. Wondering who I am and where I'm going and what I want to do and all this. And I just kind of like took it on the chin, took it like a man, never cried. Never, I didn't cry when my grandmothers passed away. And I was very, very close to them. I did not cry when I was at the funeral, when I first learned that they passed away, when I went upstairs and my dad was there on the couch and told me that they passed away. I was sad. It wasn't like I wasn't sad, but I didn't cry. I guess it all came to a head, and I soaked up as much as I could. When I broke up with my girlfriend of like a little over a year, like a year and a half we were together. The day it happened, I didn't cry at all. I think I just kind of pretended it didn't happen, right? But then you get on to your social media, you load up your Snapchat, you go onto your text messages, and you realize that you have all the pictures, but she's not there, right? Like you're blocked, or she blocked you, you blocked them, or she blocked you. One thing like that. And you realize that you're not gonna wake up to a good morning text from them anymore. That they're just gone, right? And you look around your room and you have like things hanging up and pictures hanging up of things of them, and they're just gone. They're not in your life anymore, and they're not coming back. The day after, I woke up and I didn't cry at all, and I went to work, and then I just thought of it again. And then I just started crying, just crazy amount of crying. I'm talking like the super ugly crying where you like, it's just, you just can't breathe and you're just like crying super hard. And I just couldn't stop myself. And I was at work, and like the customers would be like, is that guy okay? Cause I was in shambles. I couldn't work. I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. Right. It was terrible. It was really bad. It wasn't like a short cry either. My manager said I could take a break, and I went on my big break, my 30-minute break, because I was crying for like 10 minutes before that, and then I went through my entire 30-minute break, and I was crying, just still didn't slow down at all, like crying through my whole 30-minute break. She said you can take another 30-minute break. I cried almost halfway through that, and they were like, listen, okay, you're obviously not okay. You can go home. And then I went home and I cried myself to sleep. And then I woke up and I cried again. And I feel like it wasn't just because of that. It was because of everything, right? I just kind of bottled up everything. I didn't talk to anybody about really much of my problems at all. I just kind of like sat on it until the dam broke. And lots of guys feel that way. And thankfully it didn't end for me with like a suicide attempt or anything, but I can feel like a lot of guys definitely can. And that's sad and that's unfortunate. But it happens to a lot of people, and the bottling up can be because of toxic masculinity for a lot of things. I can't believe they made you stay at work after that. Well, I wanted to stay at work. I wanted to I didn't want to. I think the main reason why I didn't want to go back to work is I didn't want to like sit there with nothing to do with like my own thoughts, right? I actually, if I actually denied going home because like when they they told me I could like stop working. They offered if I could. They offered me to go home. I told them no. I thought I was gonna like stop. But 40 minutes passed and I didn't stop. I didn't slow down crying at all. And then I said I could. And then I agreed to go home. So yeah, they're at that job. They cared about me a lot. They liked me there. If something crazy happens, they can let you go. They're flexible with the schedule. I don't hate them. But yeah, lots of people, I know for a fact, lots of people who work in different places, definitely their boss probably wouldn't have let them off or anything, told them to suck it up, something along those lines. Because, you know, my profit. Anyways, back to what Butterball is saying.
The way to be the perfect man is be the man you wish your father was.
Oh, no. Oh, that's horrible. No, absolutely not. Don't do that. Don't live through someone else. Absolutely not. Don't try and be the man that your father was, that you think your father would be. You're not your dad. You're not, I mean, you're half your mom. You're not your dad. You're not him. You're not going to be him. You're not going to be him anytime soon. It's not going to happen. Don't try to be the man you think your father would be. You can take the sort of ideas that your father instilled in you and take that with you. For one, not everybody has a good dad. From me, like talking to a lot of my parents, to talking to a lot of my friends, not many of them have good dads. Not many of them have good moms. But don't do that. Don't do that. You're your own person. Be the man you want to be. Live up to the masculinity that you have in your head. And if it's unachievable, you should realize that and try something else that'll make you happy. Do what makes you happy. Don't do what your dad would think was going to make you happy. Don't do what you think your mom would do to make you happy. Don't do what you think. Don't be the masculinity that you think your freaking fat ass big booby crush, who picked up your pencil after you dropped it in science class, thinks the type of man that she wants. You know, don't be that man. Be the man you want to be, right? And because people can tell when you're faking, people can tell when you're memeing, right? And it's not good, and it ain't cute, and it isn't strong. Don't try to live into anybody else's shoes, okay? Don't do it. Be your own guy. Forge your own shoes, and that's the way of the man right there. Be your own person. Don't listen to this guy. That's terrible.
That, I think, is the best way to look at this. Which moves on immediately to my next point. Men are scared. Men are scared of being men. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a man. Nothing.
Who have you spoken to that says they're Isaac? Like they run to you. Isaac is there stroking his beard and reading like Aristotle or whatever like real men do, right? And like Soy Boy runs up, Isaac, I need you, and he slips and falls and he breaks his glass. He's like, Isaac, help me, Isaac, help, please. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared of being a man. Please teach me how to be scared of man. Like he unironically thinks that like men walk around scared of their own shadow. Like they think that they're like horrible. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met a guy who's unironically scared to be masculine, you know? That's just weird to me. Or if I feel I've met guys who have scared to be called and looked at as feminine. And they lash out at people when they feel like they're being basically misgendered. I've seen that happen. I haven't seen this happen.
There is something wrong with being a tyrannical asshole who bullies people and is just a piece of shit in general, but that's not being a man. Anyone who tells you that there's something wrong with being masculine is a fucking liar, and they're full of absolute shit.
Who says this? I need some receipts. It's just hyperbole. He's just like riffing right now. I have no receipts for any of the things that he's saying. See, the thing is, this is why it's so easy to be conservative. Once again, you don't have to say things that are right. You have to say things that feel right. Just feeling like you're under attack as a man, feeling like people are trying to tell you that masculinity is bad, feeling like toxic masculinity means that all men and all masculinity is toxic, feeling like those things are happening is what's going to push you to like this video and to like Isaac Butterfield. He's not telling you things that are truthful. He's telling you things that feel like they're right. This is all feels right now, no facts.
And you should never listen to that person ever again. Weakness stems from fear. And so many men, young and old, are terrified of being caught doing something wrong. Now, that does sound like something quite scary. And, you know, you may think...
Wait, terrified about doing something wrong? Like what's wrong? Like sexually assaulting someone? Sexually harassing someone? Beating someone up? Being inconsiderate? Like what? What are you scared of? Unironically, what are you scared of doing that's seen as wrong? What's wrong? What is it? What's wrong? Because the thing is, he's not going to tell you what's actually wrong, right? He's going to hyperbolize everything. He's like, oh, they think, this is bad. That's the bad masculinity when you're like tyrannical and you're an asshole. But we're not them, right, guys? We're good. We're the good guys. And they think that what we're doing is bad. Like no one thinks. I mean, if you're not being a bad guy, you're probably not being seen as bad. They're just making all this up. He's half creating a straw man and half describing issues caused by the patriarchy. True, it's weird. It's like he's grabbing from the ephemeral cloth of like some other straw man and just throwing it together. And then he's taking real problems with toxic masculinity. That's the thing. Like they're halfway there. The guys like this who understand that there's problems in the world that stem that men are experiencing. They're halfway there with understanding toxic masculinity, but they're just so far away as well. It's weird.
Hang on. If they're going to do something wrong, then they should be called out for it. But what is defined as wrong now is ridiculous. Okay?
Like what?
If you talk to a girl at the office, that's sexual harassment.
If you talk to a girl, wait, you just speak to her? Do you unironically think that? What? I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely curious if like people are walking around and you walk into work like business casual, suit and tie, you're going to your desk to do some like filings for the guy who makes 100 million times the amount of income that you do, and you're just like and you walk past like a woman, a female, and you're like no eye contact, okay, don't say anything, gosh, hi, and then they're like Wee! And everyone starts screeching, everyone's heads pop up over the like cubicles, and they're like, you just said hi to a woman. And then your freaking hiring manager comes over and like beats you with a stick, with like the feminism stick. Bad, how dare you speak to a woman as a man. He's like, no, please, I'm sorry, please. You know, it's just, that doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. This isn't true. What are you talking about? You can say hi to women. I work with mostly women and I say hi to them all the time. They're decent people. They are people. They like it when you say hi, usually. I mean, you know what he's doing? He's literally doing the meme where it's like, hot dude walks up, hey, Janice. And she's like, oh my gosh, hi, Michael. And then like freaking Frederick comes by, freaking obese, sweat stains on his belly. He's like, hi, Janice. And she's like, hello, human services. Like, this doesn't happen, okay, bud? I'm sorry, you'll be okay.
If you ask her out,
you reported all your male coworkers for saying hello to you in the morning? Yeah, and they all got fired. They all got fired and they got canceled. And now they have protests outside of their house every single day. This is true.
That's sexual harassment. If you look at her, that's sexual harassment. Now that's sexual harassment. Is ridiculous, okay? If you talk to a girl at the office, that's sexual harassment. If you ask her out, that's sexual harassment. If you look at her, that's sexual harassment.
I mean, there could be instances where you asking out a coworker, and this isn't just like for guys. You know, one thing is that lots of guys don't see actual sexual harassment as sexual harassment because they're guys, right? It's like, oh, like if a woman is actually unironically sexually harassing you at work, like you can't, like that's not seen as being real, right? Like it's almost not unreal to the law for like a woman to rape a guy, right? That's almost unreal in law, right? So it makes a lot of sense for guys to just not see it that way when they actually could unironically being sexually harassed. You want to talk about sexual harassment of men? Let's think of this, right? Anybody ever watch Ed, Edd n Eddy? Like, I mean, like unironically, anybody ever watch Ed, Edd n Eddy and like the freaking like the Kanker siblings? Like literally sexually assaulting and harassing the Ed brothers all the time. Like that's sexual harassment. That's true. That is real sexual harassment as men, but it's played up for laughs because of toxic masculinity. It's played up as laughs. It's played up as a goof, right? I mean, if you switch the roles around for a second, right? Imagine a group of aggressively sexually charged men just harassing like three women and like pinning them down and trying to kiss them. Can you imagine a show about that, dude? That'd be canceled in an instant, right? That'd be canceled in an instant. But like the opposite, it's like played up for laughs. I wonder why.
Now, there are sexual harassers out there that do horrible pieces of shit, and things like, you know, when you wolf whistle at a chick out of your fucking ute when you're a tradie, that poor chick.
What the fuck did he just say? Wait, does anybody know what he just said? I am actually unclear as to the words that came out of this man's mouth. I need to hear that again.
Shit, and things like, you know, when you wolf whistle at a chick out of your fucking ute when you're a tradie, that poor chick.
You know when you wolf whistle at a chick when you toot when you're a tradie? What? I've never heard of this before. I hate this language. I hate this language that this man is speaking. I guess he's saying catcall when you catcall a chick when you're a construction worker or something. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like shitty, but okay.
She just wants to fucking walk, even though she's wearing a G-bag. She's fucking walking half the birds out there. My point being, leave people alone. It's a tough one. I get it, but that's what this sort of society has created. Men are scared to approach women. Men are scared to do anything that puts them out there as a masculine person. Men are scared to post shit on Instagram that may make them seem like they're part of the patriarchy.
How? Like what? Like you freaking, like what are you posting on Instagram that makes you seem as part of the patriarchy? I'm unironically curious. I'm very curious. If anybody can give me one example, because I know for a fact this guy won't. Is it like an Insta story of you like holding two 5'4" women by the throat and just like using them as dumbbells, just like lifting them up? Is that like the is that the patriarchy Instagram story that he's scared of posting? Like he recorded it and then he's like about to press upload. He's like, ooh, someone may cancel me for being too masculine here. I don't know.
Men are scared. They don't want to be labeled as a sexist or a homophobe or a transphobe.
I mean, no one should want that label, because if you do, most of the time, I think in real life, if someone unironically calls you like sexist, I think most of the time if that happens in real life, you probably need to re-examine like what you're doing at the very least.
They don't want to lose their jobs or their living or their family because of it. They don't want to be called out on social media for things that they don't even really believe. That is where this fear comes from. Men as a gender are walking on the eggshells of society, waiting for a booby trap to jump out.
Men are like in control of society. I don't know. I mean, this just seems like men are in control of society. Do you think women are in control of society? Oh, the bad men are in control. The bad men have co-op. They are freaking Russia collusion. The weak men are colluding with the bad women, to make real men sad. This is what's really happening in this guy's head.
In a gotcha moment. This fear and previously covered weakness is what is leading more and more men to become things known as incels, involuntary celibates, who refuse to have sex.
Do you think this is where incels come from? Wait, I need to hear this description of incel, my bad.
More and more men to become things known as incels, involuntary celibates, who refuse to have sex because they're scared of women or rejection, which is...
No! Incels don't refuse... Well, listen, you're at... Like another incel discussion. Listen, incel, there's two things, right? The person who's involved in like the online community of incel, like I think that's like capital I incel. Lowercase I incel is like just a dude who's like socially awkward and is deathly afraid of rejection and has kind of given up, who can't find meaningful relationships, especially with women, because we all know gay people don't exist. That's an incel, right? Not like guys who refuse to have sex with women because women are scary or something. That's not... Has this guy never heard of an incel before? I'm genuinely curious, because it sounds like he hasn't. It really sounds like he hasn't.
Just insane. If you get to my age of 27 and you haven't been rejected 1,000 times, you're not trying, mate. The thing about fear is, though, it often manifests itself in an outwards fashion. What I mean by that is that can lead to violence. If you push an animal up against a wall, what does it do? It has no choice but to fight back. And that's where we see a lot of these incels shooting up places and all that horrible shit. It's because they're scared. They're scared, and there's a lot of reasons they're scared. Maybe they had a horrible childhood or a whole variable of different things. It's not just because masculinity is being attacked. But I don't think...
I don't think incels exist because masculinity is being attacked. I think incels exist because masculinity hasn't. Yeah, that's yikes. That is big yikes. Incels, for one, exist for lots of reasons. But one of the big ones is because masculinity hasn't been reformed. Yeah, they had no choice. Yeah, they just had no choice. When you back an animal up into the wall and they're scared, they're just gonna lash out. You just have to go shoot up a sorority. You just gotta, because they're scared. Listen, no, masculinity has a role to play in the existence of like the cultural incel, but it's not because necessarily they're scared. It's because they hate themselves. Have you ever been on an incel forum? It's just like, for one, it's suicide fuel, and two, it just radicalizes people, right? It promotes hatred of the society that you feel like has wronged you, right? Like, it's not your fault. Like, you're just born with like a weak chin, and you're like slightly autistic, so it's hard for you to read signals, and this is why you can't do it. And all the women, they only like Chads. Like, have you seen like Chad versus incel? I mean, really? Like, can I pull this up? Like the original Chad versus incel. Can I pull this up like super quick? Open a new tab. Yeah, like, can we look at this for a second? Does this spawned from the incel community? I believe on like even Brain Cell, actually, back when it existed on Reddit, or some other incel forum. Like, just look at this for a second, for 1 second. Does this look like they're scared? I mean, it can be, I guess, but look at this guy. So this is the Chad, right? Massive arms flailing, fat cock, super cool boots, super cool haircut, strong jawline. Wow, look, strong facial features. He gets all of the women. Peak woman magnet right here, lady killer. And then we have this guy, right? He little chubby. He just got his Nikes on, not super cool. This is how they see themselves, right? Not necessarily like a weak chin or whatever. It just like looks like your average dude. But this is how they like see themselves, right? They're like nobodies, and they have no sex. They can't find meaningful relationships. It's for a lot of reasons, right? One of it can be they feel like they haven't filled up. Maybe is because they feel like they haven't lived up to their fathers. You know, that's one thing, right? They be like, oh, grandpappy at this age, he had 15 kids and he owned 3 houses, and by only working at Taco Bell, you know, or in the fact he was working like 15-hour days in the factory or something along those lines, and you just have your minimum wage job at freaking J.C. Penney, and you feel like you haven't lived up to your father, whatever dumb shit that this guy just said earlier, right? Like, you don't have the best taste in fashion. Maybe you're just kind of like a doomer. You're just a doomer and you've given up on life, right? I mean, come on, like, really? This is how you're gonna see yourself? I mean, but no, like, his idea of what he thinks like an incel is incredible. It's wild to me, and the fact that he thinks that the shootings come from fear and more of extreme prejudice for the society that they feel like did them wrong, so they're lashing back out. Okay.
I bet it's got something to do with it. But more so than the violence, we see men imploding upon themselves, withdrawing to their own minds. They get trapped into this gulag that is their own thoughts, and they become something known as Peter Pan. They never grow up. They never change. They never change their thoughts, their ideas, or their ideologies, and they always remain that 16-year-old boy who is terrified of the world. And that is a big problem. Which brings me to my final.
You don't think that they're like maybe terrified of the world because maybe you can't pay for your rent? You know, rent is hard to make. It's harder for you to find meaningful relationships because of our society. Our society's been so atomized. Everyone just kind of like sits in their apartment nowadays. Places like online dating kind of like form like a toxic community around it. And if you don't have like the best pictures or anything, like the dudes like scrolling through their Twitter, their Tinder with like 0 likes, and they just feel worse about themselves and everything. Like, you don't think like these are issues? Maybe the idea of masculinity that they have in their head forced onto them by society, that's one that they can't live up to because that's not them. They want to be something else, you know? They feel like they can't fill it, and then they feel like if they try to, then they're not they're weak men or whatever. You don't think like these are issues? These are issues. These are the real issues. These are the real issues, not some fear of being called sexist because you said hi to Ashley while walking into the office.
Point. Men are fucking that scared that they hide. With weakness and fear infecting men's minds, they withdraw and they see life as too hard. Success is untenable, love is fiction, and responsibility is to be avoided at all costs. So they hide. And hiding isn't living at all. It leads to sadness, weight issues, and worst of all, hatred. Men are hiding so much that it has become very much a woman's world. More women are going to university than men, they're getting higher paying jobs, and that's...
Wait, you're... Oh, gosh, no. People are hiding. Let's think about this for a second. People are hiding. It's not just men. It's a lot of men. It's not just men. Are hiding because life is hard. Life is really hard. It's harder for us than it was for anybody else. Millennials, because you know that's his age group. Millennials were the first generation, I think, ever in America. I know for a fact since the Great Depression, who grew up in worse circumstances than their parents did, who had less money than their parents did, who had less economic opportunities and social opportunities than their parents did, right? So don't you think that's like a really big problem? So you get off on the wrong foot and then you're met with all of life's challenges and then you feel like you can't go anywhere. You feel like you're being left behind because they kind of are. Masculinity hasn't been reformed like femininity has. It has. I mean, think of this for a second, right? You see a dude like, I don't know, let's say with like nail polish on at the very least. You're like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? That turns heads a lot of the time. That turns heads, especially in a lot of places. You see a woman walking around in freaking like men's clothing. They have like baggy jeans and a flannel shirt on, and you're like, oh, that's just like a woman. They may not even think of them as gay or like a lesbian. It's just like some chick, right? The amount of like, you know, flexibility femininity has, the different ways that you can express yourself and still be seen as feminine is crazy compared to masculinity. It's super rigid. You have to be a super specific type of person to fit into masculinity. And that's like one reason, and that stems from a lot of it. That stems from a lot of problems. My bad. It creates a lot of problems because once you feel like you can't live up to the person that you are, or you should be, right? Because people talk about, oh, you care about misgendering too much. Oh, you want me to call you man, but you know, you're biologically woman or whatever, right? If you don't feel like you don't, misgendering is such a big thing in the trans community. You know, think of this for a second, right? You guys have been around the dude who's like big dude bro, right? Can you imagine? Let's say like all that guy's friends start referring to that guy in like she, her pronouns, right? I mean, my man would honestly like go on like a shooting rampage or something if that happened for a day. He'd go insane, right? And that's like because for one, masculinity is super fragile and it leads to a lot of fragile ideas of yourself. It's easily broken. And when it does, they lash out. Lots of people lash out like that. When they feel like they've been wronged by society, they can't get anywhere, they can't live up to their idea. That's where that fear comes from. And lots of people lash out in different ways. You know, you may be abusive. You may be abusive to your friends. You may be lashing out to yourself. You may have lots of self-loathing. It doesn't all end up in like freaking shootouts with the cops.
It's a great thing for women, but I think as most people who watch this channel understand, it shouldn't be about gender. Everyone needs an equal go, regardless if you got a cock or it's the other C word, all right? I'm not allowed to say that anymore on YouTube because they're freaking out.
What? Okay, listen, I mean, lots of men don't go to college, you know, for different reasons. Maybe there are other ways for them to make their living. I haven't seen that many female, they usually go to like other male-dominated fields, like maybe like electrical or like, I don't know, heating and cooling or plumbing or something like that. So don't necessarily go to college. That could be one thing. Other reasons as well. I can't think of them off the top of my head for why men don't go to college.
Now, my point being, we are all in agreement here. I think most of us here, we believe that everyone should be given a fair go regardless. That's the Australian attitude. Give everyone a fair go. And this needs to be played up for men more. I don't want to seem like a men's rights activist because I'm not. I'm just being logical here. Because men right now are being socially cast.
He should be a men's rights activist. Well, actually, he shouldn't, because he doesn't act. I mean, he's right. He isn't a men's rights activist because he doesn't advocate for men's rights. Nothing that he said here helps men's rights. Literally nothing in this video helps men's rights. Honestly, if I think you show this to men, especially like boys growing up, this would unequivocally make their lives worse.
Straight. Their ability to be masculine has been removed, and that is being done by social media and universities and the people around them. That's a scary thing. It's a scary.
He still has no way to show us how society has done. My bad. How universities have done this to people. He has no proof.
Scary time to be a dude in many respects. Mainly because if you are beaten to your knees and kept there, then you, as a young man or as an old man, are not ready for the turmoil that life will throw at you, and it will throw it at you. That is fucking worrying. That's why we see these suicide rates that are through the roof for men, and they're only going to increase. So, what do? We've identified all these issues for men. Let me give you a couple of fucking answers for what you can do.
Okay,
immediately.
here.
Number one.
What? Sort your fucking life out. He's gonna do the Jordan Peterson. He's gonna be like, clean your room, fix your bed.
Sort your fucking body out. If
Take a
you're
shower.
overweight, do something about it. Work out how many calories you need to eat a day. Go to a calorie calculator and then work out what 20% less of that is, and then aim for that amount. Download MyFitnessPal. Track your calories and go to the gym.
Okay.
All right? 5 days a week. 1 day push, 1 day pull, 1 day legs, rest, then repeat.
5 days a week? That's kind of a lot. I don't know if like that many people have time to go to the gym that much, right? With everything life is throwing at them right now. Listen, try to go to the gym 3 times a week and you'll be doing better than most people.
I'm talking about, Google it, work it out, lose some weight, look after your body. All right? That's the first step. Step 2, education. Educate yourself.
Well, also like taking care of your body, that's kind of downstream from a lot of other like mental issues as well. Like lots of people, they don't take care of their body for like other things going on in your life. Listen, all right, nothing helps you lose weight than that depression. You know, you ever gotten a little depressed and you get that depression weight loss phase? Like you look in the mirror, you're like, actually, I lost like 5 pounds over the last a week of crying. Isn't that crazy? Like.
Read Orwell, read Peterson, read philosophy. Get some information in that fucking skull. Yeah? Listen to podcasts, listen to other people, and be able to change your thoughts on things when you obtain new information. That is so important. And number 3, ego. Fuck your ego off. Change the person who you want to be. Don't walk around, don't staunch motherfuckers. You don't need to be a big tough motherfucker anymore. You don't, okay? Enjoy being around people. If you see someone you don't know, give them a head nod. Say, g'day, mate. Something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think if men take these things on board and then finally they change, then the problems with modern man.
What? So like all of these problems are caused by, so apparently all of these problems are caused by like college. Oh no, this is so dumb. All of this is like caused by like college and femininity and the media, everything barreling down on men. And he's like, clean your room, go to the gym, say hi to people in real life, and then all of this will be fixed. Oh, and read a book, watch YouTube, listen to a podcast and read a book, and then everything's gonna be fixed. Holy crap, dude. It's incredible. He just said that all of society is destroying men, and he's like, clean your room, go to the gym and read a book, and then it'll all be fixed. Cured overnight. That's wild to me, how dumb this is. Holy crap. Oh, I can't look at these comments, dude. The only comedian who has the balls to address this issue. He's a comedian? That's incredible. That reminds me when who was it? David Pakman found out someone was it was when David Pakman found out that Steven Crowder was a comedian, and he was unironically like, wow, that's incredible. He was like shocked. He was taken aback because I had no clue either when I first heard about him. He doesn't seem like a comedian at all. Still say that we need to start making a deal out of toxic feminism. Okay. I mean, if you can find it. Did he mean toxic femininity or feminism? I don't know. Get ready for tons of people saying, but what about women? You know, it's early when the hate mob hasn't stormed in. Can't wait until people sites have shifted to toxic feminism. Okay. Our society is toxic. Anyone else agree? From a female point of view, I understand where this is going. Wait. I understand where this is going. Us women out there just like people who are strong and are hardworking. I don't understand why modern feminism is good thing. It really isn't. Okay. Sick. Oh, was this video uploaded like super, apparently like late last night or something? Okay. Nope. This is terrible. Terrible video. Super cringe. Really bad. Don't try and be the guy you think your father's gonna be. Be you. And that's gonna be better. Go see a therapist. Go actually like think about your problems. Have friends around that you can actually talk to your talk to when you have like actual mental problems, like an actual therapist. That's good. Just try and sort your life out, and you don't have to do it on your own. You can rely on other people as well. Don't try and bottle everything up. You can't. You're not meant for it. You're just a person. Okay. And if you do that, you should be on the track to be getting a better life.